My name is Aileen from Meru County in Kenya, but currently working at the Isiolo County as a child protection specialist. I have I've been in the field of child protection for over 9 years, and my first encounter with child protection was at a child rights non-government organization in Meru County, whose commitment was serving children in partnership with other stakeholders as they sought to protect and promote the respect for children. So my first employment was in that organization, and it had two shelters, one namely New Start and the other one Tumaini. The one for New Start was a temporary shelter for abandoned and vulnerable infants from 0 to 3 years. It was started in 2004 when there were cases of HIV/AIDS, and which led to stigma and discrimination, which was then attached to the disease. We work closely with various stakeholders and admitted the children below 3 years, and later we would integrate them to the family. With the as during that time I was working there, we would provide children with shelter, nutrition, health, education, psychosocial support, and spiritual support. And so basically that's what we did in that center for small babies. And then the second the shelter was a safe space for girls who have undergone through defilement and other forms of abuse. And we would put them in the shelter as we access justice for them, especially cases of incest were high, and so we will bring them in so that they could get justice, and the perpetrator and the family could not come in and ask them not to testify in court. So the organization will put them there. We follow the case through the court. We provide psychosocial support for the children until justice is gotten, and then we would reintegrate the child back to the family. In the same organization, we also did sponsorship, whereby we sponsored children from who are orphans and vulnerable children. My next place of work, I worked with the street children, those children and youth who were in the street, and we rehabilitated them to be responsible citizens. We took them through vocational skills. We did life skills sessions with them. We did counseling with them. We did football tournaments with them in order for them to detox, because most of them were into drugs, most of them were into crimes, and so we wanted to show them there is a better side. They can change from who they are. So basically, that is what I did in my second employment. And currently, now I'm a child protection specialist in a faith-based organization. We are implementing a Horn of Africa Gateway Development Project, whereby there are civic works going on. There's a road construction, and you see with a huge influx of workers, children are likely to be affected. So, I mean, it's Avi.
Yes, no problem.
Mhm.
Go ahead.
So with the huge influx of workers, so in a community where they didn't have so many workers as they construct the roads, children are likely to be sexually abused, sexually harassed, and so that's one of the reason why I've been brought on board to deal with gender-based violence issues and child protection issues. So my work basically is to sensitize the workers to not about a code of conduct. They have signed a code of conduct, and one of the issues we deal with is gender-based violence and issues of child protection. So we sensitize them not to engage with the community, because they have signed a code of conduct, which they are not supposed to stay with the a minute. So we continuously sensitize them on their code of conduct. They cannot sexually abuse the children. Either they cannot engage in sex with them. They cannot even ask for favors from them because, as per their code of conduct, they're supposed to leave the community as they found them. They're not supposed to engage in sexual or in any sexual relationship with a community member or even a co-worker. So, and if there are cases of child protection, defilement, sexual assault, sexual harassment, we follow through and ensure action has been taken. So basically what I'm doing, I partner with other organization, sensitize the workers, sensitize the community as the civil works progresses.
Okay.
Yes.
Um, Thank you, Aileen. So, um, can you clarify uh,
Mhm.
the location that you are in right now? Is it urban or rural? And how far? Can you give us a sense of where it is within Kenya?
Uh, Isiolo County.
Okay.
I work in Isiolo County, but I stay in Meru County.
Okay.
And so the headquarters is based in an urban setup, but the works are in the rural areas.
In rural. Oh,
So yes, yes.
so small
So
rural communities.
yes, yes. We call them settlements because there are few members there, and so we work through the various settlements.
Okay. And you said that there are projects that are happening around these settlements where men are going to come in and do work, and you're there to make sure that they don't interfere or intervene with the small communities in bad ways.
Yes, there is a road construction in progress, and with the road construction, we get so many workers coming over to those settlements. And with the huge number of workers and the fact that they have money, they are likely to entice the community, they are likely to entice the maybe children, which might lead to them engaging in sexual activities, and that means we will get a lot of teenage pregnancies, and children are likely to go out of school. And so, in order to prevent that, we sensitize the community against them being used by the workers, and we sensitize the workers from staying away from the community and do the road works only.
Okay. And so, Aileen, the work that you do, is it sponsored by government or the area or the who sponsors it?
Okay, this is a World Bank funded program. It has funded the our country, Kenya, and so it's being implemented by Kenya National Highway Authority. That is a what it's in Kenya. That's what it's a department for road constructions.
Okay.
So it's a world funded program.
Okay, so it's
And the,
interesting. So this ministry recognized historically, I'm guessing, where there were
Mhm.
road projects in small communities and there were negative impact,
Yes, yes.
specifically for children around
Mhm.
sexual exploitation and abuse.
Mhm.
And you're saying now they have implemented this program where they you go in and
Mhm.
speak to the communities and the workers. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it is. You see, World Bank has funded many other countries in doing road construction and other things. So some years back, it funded Uganda, and the project was closed. And one of the reasons why it was closed because the host community complained that most of their children had dropped out of schools. There was high teenage pregnancy. child marriages, all because of the civil works. And so World Bank was so keen on issues of gender-based violence, and even child protection issues. And so they named a whole concept, and now the social risk issues are put into considerations. That's why we are onboarded to ensure the social risks are looked at.
Okay, so that's interesting. So this is because you're saying of a project by the WHO where that was happening in Uganda and it stopped because of these issues, and now they're in the future projects they've learned from the one in Uganda and they're trying to do things differently. Okay, that's
Yes, yes.
fascinating. So you use the word we sensitize them. So how do you what do you specifically do? When you say use the word sensitize, what do you do and how do you do it with the community and then with the workers?
With the workers, there's something we call toolbox talks. These are the morning talks before they engage in the works. We go and talk to them, maybe like a 20 minutes, 30 minutes talk about their conduct in the community, about issues child protection in the Kenyan context, who a child is, what laws are protecting children, and why children needs to be protected, issues of gender-based violence, what amounts to gender-based violence, how they can avoid that. And sometimes we use kids, sometimes we engage them orally, sometimes we have IC materials where they are, most of them are pictorial, so that in case even we are not engaging them in the toolbox, they are able to see pictorials and understand. And they have also signed a document of conduct, which we re-emphasize every now and then as we go to the field, because before they are onboarded at work, they as and sign their contract, there is a code of conduct which is even interpreted in the English, in Swahili, and even in the mother tongue, so that they can understand as they put their signatures, they know the consequences. And for the community, we hold community dialogue with gatekeepers in the community. We engage the chiefs. We engage the Ministry of Interior, the key people in the community, the religious leaders. We also have barazas, and we commemorate even days which are for either for child protection. Like last year, we did 16 days of activism to sensitize the community on those other issues. We also work in partnership with other organizations. We have other organizations on board. There are those dealing with HIV/AIDS matters and other partners on board. We also use focus group discussions and general sensitization. We also use local media to sensitize them in our local languages, why the importance of the road, and how they can avoid gender-based violence, how they can spot a child has been abused, and where to go. We have something known as referral pathway. This one shows if a child has been abused, where can they go? What services can they be offered at that point? What documentation do they need to fill? If it's a defilement case, we sensitize them, inform them they should go to the police, as into the hospital first. They will file a P3 form. Maybe if it's a girl, she will be what she will be given. We show them, we teach them, as well as have IC materials for them to be able to see. We also have a toll-free number where they can call and report anonymously, and then we can investigate and support.
So you do a significant amount of education for both the community and the workers.
Yes.
Okay. And what when you engage workers and community, do the workers come from mostly Kenya or other parts of Africa and the world as well?
We have our contractors are not the contractor is not they are not Kenyan,
Okay.
and so we have local workers who are picked from within the community and outside the community. So we have Kenyans and non-Kenyans. We also sensitize the non-Kenyans one, especially on child protection issues, gender-based violence, and all that. Since they have also signed a code of conduct, so they are bound by it.
Right. I was asking, considering that if you have workers outside of Kenya with different understanding or expectations around um, gender-based interactions and also children, um, uh, and then they come work in Kenya, and then you come and speak to them about this. Um, how do they react to what you tell them? Do you find that typically the workers are um, they're listening to you? Like, what's their reaction to all of this?
Okay, mostly you see, most of them, the ones who can understand English, are taken through the training because they have signed a code of conduct and they know they are not supposed to do either child abuse, gender-based violence, and we take through them the training and they are bound by the code of conduct. So the reception is well, and then the rest are interpreted into, and they get to understand why it's important. And as a program, sometimes we insist we do not want history to repeat itself. So we give them case scenarios. We learn from history such that in case this project is to be closed, it can be closed because of these children issues and gender-based violence. So their reception is okay and they are willing to cooperate and they have cooperated so far.
Okay, that's fascinating. And in the community, I'm sure it's quite involved. Your education, you said it's speaking with the chiefs, and there's media involvement
Mhm.
with the community itself, and it's quite involved in the schools. What has been the reception from the community? How have they um, reacted to this initiative?
The community is receiving the information very well. They're happy with the kind of information they're getting because where the road is passing was sparsely populated, so there were not many people living there, and that kind of information was not reaching them. And initially, we did some surveys before the project kicked in, and we could ask, have you encountered a case of child abuse? How has it been? Have you received a case of maybe gender-based violence, maybe a husband beating a wife, and they would not see any problem with that. But now with the sensitization, with the information every day, they are enlightened. They are able to come out and say this is wrong. The child needs to go to school. Their teenage pregnancies and able to follow the right way. So the message has been out in the community. The reception has been well, and the community is excited. They are gaining more knowledge each day.
So is it fair to say, Aileen, that the community that um, where the work will take place or is taking place, you said, as I'm hearing you, I'm understanding that some of the issues exist even before the work was happening,
Mhm.
and they're benefiting
Yes.
from your intervention. That's
Ye-
true?
ye- yes. Yes. Yes.
I see. Okay. Even before the work was happening, you're saying there's some gender-based violence and kids not going to school, and got it. Okay. Um So what happens when I understand that it's you do your sensitization work with the workers, they sign an agreement that they're held accountable for, but what happens? What do you do if a worker still um, does something like get involved with an underage girl in the community? What do you do then?
So when we get a case maybe of child abuse or even a or gender-based violence, we start with our investigations and we investigate maybe the worker, other witnesses, where we got the information from, and if it is proved beyond doubt that the worker has done that, then through the HR, because there is a HR depending, there's an HR from the contractor side. So we follow through with the HR, and then the disciplinary action is taken against the worker. And if maybe it's a defilement or even an harassment on the side of the child, then that means it's a dismissal, because we do not want to encourage the others to continue doing the same. So we work closely with the contractors personnel, and disciplinary action is taken against the perpetrator.
Okay, so HR is involved as it would in a corporation, and then if it's found that yes, there is beyond reasonable doubt that they've done something illegal or contrary to what they've signed in their agreement, then they're dismissed. Are there any other, are there any legal, are they arrested locally by the Kenyan officials? Is that happen as well?
Yes, it does, because we have to follow through and do referrals for the survivor. And so, if it's for a child, we engage the children's department, and through the police, and the perpetrator is produced in courts, and then the process takes its course in the courts. So we do not leave it at dismissal, because we assume he will go and abuse other children away from the project area.
Okay. And it sounds as though, from what I'm hearing from you, is you've had quite a success after initiating this program. Do you see many cases? Do you get many cases of abuse, or not so many? Like how many do you get? What's your
Uh,
caseload?
Project related are not as much as they're not more than 20 projects related, because of the continuous sensitization. So they are not many, but we also receive cases outside the project, because now the members of community are sensitized, are enlightened on what amounts to child abuse, where you can report, and they know what disciplinary actions can be taken, and the laws that are there to protect that child. So basically, cases outside the project, we've received many, which we refer to the relevant stakeholders, because of the wide sensitizations and education that we do to the community.
Fascinating. So within the program or within the sector itself, you get 20, but then outside the program, you said
A-
because of
Actually,
education. Go ahead.
so within the project, we have, I guess, less than 10. But if we earned the from outside the project, we can get up to 20. Although our main focus is within the project, but if we get cases outside the project, we refer them to the relevant stakeholders, so that the survivor can get justice, especially children cases. We refer them to children's officer.
Understood. Okay. Um,
Yeah.
so what are some of the challenges? I heard I'm hearing that it's quite successful, but what are the challenges that you have encountered doing your work, and how do you overcome those challenges?
Some of the challenges, maybe one is witness not coming out to say the truth. For instance, if there was a case of a child being abused, any person who witnessed may not want to come out and say what they saw because maybe they fear retaliation from maybe the perpetrator, you see. And then for the men, in case a man is abused or go through the gender-based violence, they do not get the courage to come and say what has been happening, eh? You see, and also basically, I think those are a few of the challenges, especially when it comes to children, because most of them may not, the witnesses are the challenges. They do not want to come out, and some cultural, you see, cultural dynamics in the community. The project cuts across Christian and the dangerous Christian and Muslim areas, and so there are some cultures that bar them from coming out. Like for instance, you see the whereby the elders come and sit and they want that case to be closed by themselves, but that does not bring justice either to that child. So those are the culture and those are the two some of the challenges that we face.
So the culture aspect is always fascinating for me. I am hearing that it comes it could be an issue in other parts of the world. Now you said the chiefs, for example, would want to handle the matter internally.
The
Um,
community elders,
the community elders. Okay, so it's the community.
yes.
Is that shame? Is that what's the cultural piece to it where they say, is it more that they have the authority? Is it they're going to do it in their own way? What leads to them wanting to deal with it on their own?
You see, they want, most of them want to, like in the incest cases, they think they are protecting the name of the family or even the community, not knowing that they are doing injustice to the child. And you see, the Kenyan government is against that because they have seen that the child does not get justice. So is they do it secretly, such that even the Ministry of Interior, the chiefs are not aware. So by the time you know there was such a thing, then the family will not cooperate in giving the information, since they have sat down and discussed the issue and the issue has been done. So it becomes a challenge because if they do that, then we are not able to move and investigate. And if you investigate, you do not get any information because the people who are supposed to give you the information have been given a warning.
Okay, so it's quite involved. When culturally, when you speak, elders might, there's many reasons where they would want to manage it internally. So it sounds to me it's a bit of controlling the situation, but also shame. Is that, am I hearing you correct? That's also about the shame?
Yes, yes, you see, if it's an incest case and maybe the father or even the uncle has defiled one of their children, then they think it is a shame for the community to know that this thing happened. So, in order to contain the situation, they settle it at the community level. There are some families who tend to compensate with some livestock, and the issue is finished there.
So wait, Aileen, can you so explain a little bit more in details how they handle it internally on the incest case? How would the elders handle it to a conclusion where they feel it's resolved?
You see, it's something done in secret
Okay.
because they know it's something illegal in Kenya. And so when such a case happen and maybe the mother wants to go and report, the elders will ask her not to say anything. And they will sit maybe in their own table rooms and discuss, maybe forgive. It cannot go out because you see the name of the family is at stake. And then they compromise, and you see now at the end of the day, the woman maybe cannot go and say, because if she talks anything, then she brings trouble on herself. And so they finish the matter there.
So it's a discussion, and so it does that involve the elder leading a conversation between the mother, the father, and the perpetrator, the other man?
It's my Yes, you see sometimes if it's an incest, the uncles, the grandfathers, and that family will come there.
Okay,
Because if an outside person knows that, then the case is likely to go to the police and
I
they
see.
will be exposed. So the family comes together and they discuss and inform the other parties that this information cannot get out.
Okay, and the discussion. So let's suppose, so it's a grandfather, and he comes to the table, and the mother, and the dad, and the elder. What is the resolution? You said so they have a discussion. Is it simply the grandfather asking for forgiveness and that's how it's resolved, or is there a different process?
It's just they come and ask for forgiveness and tell them, no, this case cannot go out to the police because the family name is at stake. They
Uh,
discuss in that context because in case that case goes out, then the police will be on them, the chief will be on them, and then the law will take its course. You
I
see, now
see.
if it's made a secret, then even as uh, people who would want justice for that child, means we will not get the information. First, the mother or the child may not cooperate because of
Mhm.
fear instilled during that meeting, and because they also, you see, the child might be told if you report, your father or your grandfather will go to jail. They are manipulated, so they are not able to talk because fear has been instilled in them.
Okay. So, Aileen, in this context, in this situation, um, you talked about it will bring shame for the family. I spoke with a woman from Jordan who, she said the same thing, but even more than that, she said, yeah, the child, she's going to have, the family will have a hard time marrying her off later because she was sexually abused. And that's what they're trying to avoid. What is the can you give us context for the shame? What does it mean to have shame if that came out in the community? What would happen to that child or family?
It is the family that will, the shame will be on the family. You can imagine my father defiling me, and then the case goes to the police, he will maybe be jailed. And you see, now the people will be talking about that family that defiles their own. You understand? So
Okay.
the shame is on the in the family. Will the family be able to walk out there ends up without being ashamed that one of them defiled their children? So the shame is in the family. The family name is at stake.
So it's a family name, it's a shame. How big are these communities so the audience understand where, so I'm guessing these are small communities, so everybody almost knows each other.
Yes, yes,
Okay, small villages, small communities, so there's be a lot of shame and
yes,
everybody
yes.
would know. Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
but in my previous employment where we had shelter, we would get court orders and put the girl in a safe house, and then she will be taken through counseling, and then she will testify in court. court, and then the perpetrators will be arrested. So where I work, we have partnership with an NGO that has a safe space where such cases can be referred for
Okay.
support. Yeah.
Okay. So it's quite fascinating, and it's so different from country to country. Some similarities, but a lot of differences culturally as well. So uh what you spoke a bit about the challenges. Is there something that these communities maybe don't understand or misunderstand about the work that you do that you'd like to clarify? Or there's something that maybe is a bit of a mystery about what you do or how you do it that people don't understand?
So the work we do, most of the time we inform the community that they cannot be in any relationship with the workers, and most of them do not understand why. And one of the reasons why we insist on that is because this some of these workers have come and they have families from where they have been. And so when they're coming to these small settlements, these workers will use their power in terms of money. You see, they're getting money from the work that they are doing. And the community might not understand that these people, it's not just a commitment, it's just for a short time. And we still want the values, the morals of the community to be intact even after the road, after the construction and after the works. So they do not understand, even the workers do not understand why we insist they cannot have relationship with the host communities, because issues, pregnancy, and the morals in terms of children dropping out of school, and then other sexually transmitted diseases. So they do not understand, they do not see why we keep insisting, do not engage with these people, let them do their work. And for the workers, they do not understand why we tell them do the road construction, but let the community remain as we found it.
So it's a matter of tread lightly, meaning you're going to do your work, but leave this community alone. Um, and for the community, don't interfere because it potentially could impact your way of life. It could change.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Um, what what are is there some cases you can tell us about that you worked through without mentioning names or too many details? But can you give us an example of a case that you've recently worked on?
In my current or even in the previous works,
In the current one?
in the current one, there are cases of sexual exploitation, and they're not as rampant. Just you see, these people have money, the workers have money, and money in a way has some power, and they would want uh, some favors in exchange for this money. You see, and sometimes once we get hold of it, as I said, we have a toll-free number, and sometimes people report anonymously. And so when we get such cases, we intervene quickly before it gets out of hands, either investigation, and if it had not reached to that point, and then we sensitize the community more, and the worker maybe is warned not to proceed with whatever they wanted, and even verbal abuse, maybe to a child passing by because they said hi and the child did not respond, and then the worker proceeds to abuse that child. So those are some of the cases that we've gotten.
Okay. And what do you like or enjoy most about your work? Because it's not easy work. What inspires you? What do you like most about it?
The impact we make to the community. I remember in my first employment where we used to have the safe houses, the moment we rescue a child, the smile on that child and the fact that they confided in you that what they were going through and the relief they have now, that makes me want to continue working for the children. I also engage children a lot in school, sensitizing them on still the project. They should not go near the workers. They should not go alone as they go to school. They should get accompanied from the school by their friends. So that engagement with the children and children are fun to work. They are able to open up to you. It keeps me going. And the fact that I also engage the community a lot, I get to talk to them a lot and also learn about their cultures. It helps me and I feel excited and fulfilled supporting the community as well as supporting the children.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Is there anything else that you was not said that you want to tell us about what you do or you think is important about what you do?
That the work we do, especially children welfare and child protection issues, I remember most of the people think it's just work, but it's not just work. Some of us, it's just a calling, and sometimes we get attached. I remember when I was working for the street children, you see, these are children who have been abandoned. So many people will hate on them. Some people will not even look at them or even greet them. They will think they are suspects throughout. And the moment we sit down and engage, and as we mentor them to rehabilitate, we get to learn a lot. And sometimes we get attachment, and at some point we end to go for debriefing sessions so that this work cannot affect our personal life. So something being a social worker or the work we do as a children, after all you are getting paid, but I think it needs to be a calling. One needs to have passion, and if working with the children, anything children should trigger you, whether in the news, whether you are walking in the street, anything children. You see, you might be walking in the supermarket, a child is crying. You see, as someone who is working with children, that should send a message. Why? And ask so many questions. So, dealing with children needs calling, and one needs to read more about children so that they can get some other context, other countries' context, culture dynamics, so that as you deal with one case, because children cases are unique in their own way. Yeah.
Thank you. You do important work, and Aileen, and thank you for your time and sharing your story with us.
Okay.
It
Thank
was
you.
great meeting you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.